Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of our iRacing AI NASCAR Cup Series career mode. I hope you're all having a great day today. We are headed to the 2-mile oval at Michigan. You could almost call it a home track for me, as it's only about 4 hours away from where I am in Canada, but Watkins Glen is about the same distance, so those two are kind of the quote-unquote home tracks. We got news though. Dodge announced that they will be partnering with a new Cup team set to enter the series next season. The new team is yet to be announced, but it is set to field 2 cars on track. Ty Dillon is an early rumor of a driver set to sign with the team. So Dodge has decided to not go for a current team, but completely rebuild with a new team that's coming into the Cup Series next season. So stay tuned on what that is going to be. We also have other news. ALMIROLA, after that massive crash in the last episode of the Indianapolis road course, very heavy contact on the safer barrier, right kind of where it transitioned to the concrete. Well, unfortunately, ALMIROLA injured in that accident. He is going to miss at least this race, possibly the next one as well in Richmond, and well, obviously being a must-win situation to get in the playoffs already to begin with. So unfortunately, ALMIROLA out. Cole Custer is back in the number 10 car this week, so we'll see how he gets on in that number 10 now. As you can see myself making some laps here in practice in this number 21 machine. Now, as we have just 3 races left in the regular season following this race, we are looking pretty good in the point situation, but obviously anything can still happen now. And it starts out though with a good qualifying run here today, and if we have a really good run today, we could be in really good shape, however, going into these final 3 races in the regular season. If we can come out of here with, say, I would say 80 plus point gap over the playoffs, I'd be pretty happy. As you can see, a bit of a mistake there in my first lap in qualifying, so we had to focus in on lap 2 instead, but we were still P27. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick, currently the top 5 now as we head down the SPAC straightaway, and then as we come through 3 and 4 for the final time, it looks like that order is going to stick now as we come down this front straightaway here. And can we improve? We would improve by quite a bit there, and you can see we cross the line as P17 here in Michigan. Not too bad. I forgot to show all of the results, unfortunately, so you just get to see a cool shot of me crossing the line, but we will see the starting order when we get ready to go racing. Speaking of that, let's head to the pre-race.
Gordon cleared him. Jeff Gordon to the race lead.
Double turn 1, Casey Kane is hard in the wall. A vicious lick for Casey Kane.
42, and been behind him for about 10 laps, but couldn't get around him.
Oh, there's a big crash. Look at this. Dillon with so much damage. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a hard hit.
But it was a race-winning move.
Oh, and around goes the 3. The 6 also involved.
Checkered flag is up, and his 3rd win of the season for the 4-time champion, Jeff Gordon.
And Kane making a move on his team.
Oh, they catch the 12 and the 2 into the wall.
Hard hits.
I just want to point out, as the pace car pulls off, we're ready to go. Green stages briefly come up on your screen, but now that I'm doing these little pre-race things with getting clips from real-life races, I'm noticing that just whenever I find the NBC clips are just so much more exciting and hyped up, and I just cannot believe that fans actually complain about NBC broadcasts and how they like overdo it. I don't understand how you can find things made exciting to be a bad thing. Anyways, aside from that, we're underway here in Michigan now, as I'm already getting my elbows out. We're 4 wide briefly down the back straightaway, and we're going to get clear of the 48 and the 1 and the 17 as we head down into turn 3 of the inside, as well as the 42 of Ty Dillon. We had a bit of a run-in with him in the last episode of the Indianapolis road course, trying to not do that today, but we got past him, as well as the 14 of Chase Briscoe right here in the mix, one of those bubble drivers that we have to pay attention to. But we had made a good gain on this opening lap. Started P17, we're up to P11. How about that? I felt like we had pretty good pace in this car, so I was pretty excited to see what we could do a little bit later on, especially in the long run. But we got time to work with here, and you can see us now going around the outside, following the 9 of Elliott, getting past the 14 there of Chase Briscoe, and the 3, sorry, that we just passed, of Austin Dillon. Now, a few moments later, lap 5, you see Chase Elliott putting the fight to the inside of William Byron, who's been actually the weakest driver at HMS this season in this career mode. But Elliott would not be able to complete the pass, and would actually start to fade behind that 24, and you can see myself getting a very nice run. We're P10 going for P9 at this point, bringing Ross the Boss Chastain with us as well, but we're going to easily clear this number 9 car. And as these laps are going on, things were looking pretty good for myself here now as we look to close in on the back of the 24 of Byron as we started lap 9 of 60 here in this race. And you see Christopher Bell all the way to the top of the track right there. But yeah, as these laps are going on, as the tires were wearing, things were looking pretty good for myself in this 21 machine, nearly into the back of the 24 Liberty University car right there. But we continue side by side with Christopher Bell, nearly to the side of him actually there on the exit of turn 4. I was just trying to get up really quick to kind of pull him back and side draft a little bit, but we would stay put behind him for the time being here now. And you can see us though fighting to the outside of that number 20 though on the exit of turn 4 lap 10, and we're already running out of time pretty quickly here in stage number 1. But now to the back of the 24, actually giving him a bit of a bump draft. Bump drafting really does work to your advantage here, so I highly recommend it in Michigan. But you can see us continuing to make passes now around the outside of the 24 in these late moments in stage 1. You got Truex as well as Kevin Harvick just in front of us. We might be able to pass them both as well. Truex still winless on the season. Harvick quite a ways out of the playoffs, but having a good run here today like he had in real life. He won this race in real life, don't forget. He ended up winning this one and then winning Richmond the next week, so we'll see what he can do here in iRacing. But now around the outside of Kevin Harvick, this is coming through to the final lap right here of stage 115 of 15. Denny Hamlin has led from start to finish in this race so far. Kyle Larson up there in second place. Bubba Wallace having a good run. However, Bubba Wallace, he had a really good start to the season, but he went on a bit of a slump in the mid-season and now finds himself realistically, if he wants to get into the playoffs, he's going to have to win a race kind of like he was in that exact same scenario in real life. He's not mathematically out yet on points, but realistically he has to win. He could do that here today. Eric Jones, another one that's looking at getting a victory now, as we do not want to see anybody below the bottom 16 winning races, as Denny Hamlin comes through to win stage 1. Larson, Bubba Wallace, Jones, myself, Truex, Harvick, you saw Bell, Briscoe right there rounding out the top 10, so he gets the final stage point. One of the bubble drivers, that's going to be very important for the Stewart-Haas driver now. And Stewart-Haas Racing currently has no drivers locked into the playoffs, which is crazy to think now, as you can see us putting on 4 tires. And actually I got a really good pit stop, and I actually speed by about 7 miles per hour and I did not get caught, so LOL NASCAR, because that got me to the lead of the race. Don't know how I just didn't get caught right there. I was clearly speeding, but I'll take it. I even admitted on the radio, but nothing happens. We're getting ready to all of a sudden be leading this race for stage 2. I mean, we got good speed in this 21. We've had some standout races this season. As you guys know, it's been a common thing for me to crash and blah blah blah, but we've had some standout races where we've looked really good in this 21 car. I feel like Ryan Blaney in his number 21 car season, where, you know, he had an okay season at times, and then all of a sudden you have a couple standout races where he was really good, and I kind of feel like we're replicating that. But you see Hamlin, Larson side by side down this back straight away, as our future in this number 21 of course is not certain. Could we be going to the new Dodge team that's happening next season? I'm not really sure. Let me know down below. Put some comments down of what's happening right now in the rumor mill. I would love to know, and then we can throw that in the next video going into Richmond. But 3 races left of the regular season following today. You guys know it's getting very close with the point situation that we continue to follow closely, and I'm very excited to see who's going to make it in the playoffs versus who isn't here. And as well, you know, where could we end up next season? Could it be a 3rd Trackhouse car? Could we be going to Joe Gibbs Racing? Because, you know, Kyle Busch, I can confirm, is going to be out of that ride to follow along with the real 2023 season. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that could happen. Could we go to HMS? Blah, blah, blah. I think we've impressed enough. We've shown enough speed. We just got to make sure we're not crashing cars. Anyways, we continue on leading this race here, and actually got up to a good solid lead. It was at one point about 0.8 of a second. However, I had kind of burned up my right front a little bit too much as this run was going on, and Denny Hamlin was starting to close the gap back up. I knew I didn't have the fastest car here in Michigan. It was just kind of luck that we got ourselves to the lead, but you know, I was happy that we were able to lead some laps here in this race. But Hamlin, sure enough, all over the back of us here, lap 31, running out of time already in stage 2. Not many laps now, and you see Hamlin up the inside through the center of the corner, exit a turn 2. Now I'm going to try and fight back. I don't want to give it up easy. We've won 2 stages this season. I would like to win another one here now as we continue on down this back straightaway. Nearly clear of the 11, but he was just barely there enough to where I wasn't comfortable kind of cutting down to the inside, so I give him the room. We are still side by side. Hamlin's so close to being clear, but we hang on right there on his right rear quarter panel, and we are back ahead, and now we are clear. Down into turn 1, though, it was not over again. I just can't get through the center of the corner very well, and that allows that 11 right there to get to my inside again on the exit of 2. We're going to be drag racing down this back straightaway. To my surprise, although we are battling like crazy, we are still pulling away from 3rd place of Kyle Larson on back here, still side by side into turn 3. This, though, is where Hamlin's going to have the advantage, and you are going to see it right there. He will get clear of myself in this number 21. However, to my surprise, it wasn't quite over. We would stick with Hamlin right up until the final lap of this stage. Lap 35, final lap in stage 2 underway up the inside of Denny Hamlin. We catch him a bit off guard into turn 1. However, I didn't expect this to work because I knew how tight the car was at this point, and yeah, you can see it right there. I got absolutely destroyed in the center of the corner. So Hamlin gets clear, and I was really glad the caution was coming out right here because this was the specific lap where the car felt like it had truly given up and I was only going to go backwards from this point on. Look at me in turn 3. I mean, the 11 just blowing my doors off all of a sudden. So I knew that this caution was honestly perfectly timed. Down the front straightaway for the final time, Denny Hamlin wins stage 2. He's swept the first 2 stages so far. We're P2. You see Harvick, Jones, Larson, Truex, Byron, as well Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain rounding out the top 10. And then there's this. You see a lot of cars decide to stay out. I know it's stupid to stay out. Now I can confirm NASCAR is actively working to work with the fuel loads in this car to reduce this issue happening from like every other episode. It feels like where some drivers pit, some drivers stay out, and then it causes issues. So I can confirm it's being worked on, and hopefully by playoff time it is going to be a very solid solution put in place. And it's simply just down to the fuel load. If I can find the correct fuel load to put in for the cars, then it will be okay. So, but nonetheless, we're not focused on that here today. We now know that the first half of this field is in trouble, and all the cars that took tires, depending on if we get cautions or not, could be in a position to win themselves into the playoffs. Justin Haley, the first car on fresh tires, he's trying to go 3 wide in the middle between Austin Dillon as well as Brad Keselowski, Christopher Buescher, as well as myself, LaJoy, McLeod, the 42 of Ty Dillon. We're all right here on fresh tires as well. Todd Gilliland and Tyler Reddick as well. I am just following this 31 Kaulig Leaf Filter Chevrolet as we're 3 wide in the middle now with Keselowski and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's had a miserable season, by the way. He's like 30th in points currently. I don't think it could get much worse for an RCR car, as we are now all over the back of the 9 of Chase Elliott settling in behind him. And now where do we go? I mean, you see it's almost looking like a bit of a pack race here, but I'm going to go to the outside of the 9 here, trying to make a move down into turn 1. Follow this 14 of Briscoe, the 9. He's going to force us into the outside wall and basically crash us. We stay green and keep it under control. I would expect nothing less from a guy that gets outrun by his teammate all year. There you hear myself making a comment comparing him and Kyle Larson there now as the fight's not over yet. We still have a lot of speed in this car. We passed Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric. Those two are struggling horrifically here today, and there you see the 10 of Cole Custer, but look at this. We were on the move, absolutely flying. It's like a pack race, though, here in Michigan. There you see Austin Hill up there, actually, for RCR, and the number, 33 car making his Cup Series debut. Kind of forgot to mention that here as we're down into turn 1. The 10 of Custer hooks us in the right rear nearly, and now he's going to turn the 47 into the outside while the caution's going to come out. Up ahead, there's more issues. Keselowski just put Cook in the wall, and you see it right there. Keselowski and Cook come together, and then the 10 of Custer and the 47 of Stenhouse come together after Custer turns into me, nearly hooks me head on, and then he does it to Stenhouse. So it's only been like 3 races Custer's done this season, but he's caused 2 absolute mayhems now as a caution is out. Keselowski had to pit while the pit lane was closed, but honestly, this caution was what I needed because for some reason everybody had an opportunity to pit again, but nobody took the opportunity. So this closes us up with 16 to go. We are marching 3 wide through the middle down into turn 1. McDowell in front of us there on the outside. We got actually the 77 there briefly on our outside. We get clear of him, but we're still 3 wide in the middle here. Now clear on the outside of McDowell. I'm going to jump up high, get alongside that 16, but you can see now to the back of my good friend of Chase Elliott. I won't lie, I was considering just dumping him down into turn 3, but just give give him a little bit of a few shoves to the bumper to let him know, you know, I wasn't a huge fan of him just straight up pushing me into the outside wall like I wasn't even there. But we are going to be able to try and pass him now. You see the 14 of Briscoe now fading as this run goes on. Austin Dillon, we're 3 wide in the middle with these two. Gilliland in front of us, the now future teammate to Chase Briscoe next season at Stewart Haas Racing. Gilliland going to that number 10, replacing Almirola, who's currently out of that car, as we're having a bit of a mishap there with our Alliance teammate Ryan Blaney trying to pass in. But there's 11 laps to go, and look at this. Haley had taken the lead, Harvick's in second, Dillon in third, Busher up into fourth. So 3 of the top 4 currently on the fresh tires, with Harvick being the one on old tires, which has held on relatively well here now, and that's kind of been another trend lately. But we were continuing to march our way forward, closing in on a top 10 running position, passing Suarez, passing LaJoy, now to the back of the number 5 of Kyle Larson down towards turn 1. I'm just going to slip to the outside here and we'll be able to pass him really no problem, but we're running out of laps very quick. We are faster than the leaders with this current strategy that we're on, but do we have enough time? We got to the outside of Brian Priest, who unfortunately for him is in a must-win scenario as well if he wants to get into the playoffs. But you can see us just absolutely marching through these drivers on old, worn-out tires, passing the 23 of Bubba Wallace. There's the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. getting past him as well. Jay Cook would be our next target here in that colleague, number 16, another driver, the rookie that's had a miserable season in that 16, but we were getting ready to make a pass on him moments later as well, going to jump up to that outside. 6 laps to go, and you can see up ahead there's Kevin Harvick. That's the last driver on old tires, and then it's Ty Dillon, Chris Buescher, as well as Justin Haley. 3 drivers fighting for the win. Buescher, he's in the playoff bubble area, so if he won it wouldn't be a huge deal, but Ty Dillon or Haley winning would be a big change up for some of these drivers. We will wait and see what happens here in these closing laps, though. You see Ty Dillon currently in 3rd place as Chris Buescher had moved up into 2nd, nearly some contact with Kevin Harvick. We get past him, but we'll take a look. Here's the replay of Buescher actually getting past the 42 of Ty Dillon about a lap or so ago. He just cruised right by him on the inside, and then here was to the inside a few moments later now of Justin Haley with a few laps to go. Chris Buescher going for the lead of this race. He won in 2022 in real life at Bristol Motor Speedway under the lights in the playoffs. He did not make the playoffs, but he's about to change that here if he wins today in the iRacing career mode. He's still side by side with the 31 of Haley. Haley fighting as hard as he can, but I don't know if he has enough down into turn 3. This is where you're going to see that 17 really excel, and yes, clear is Buescher for the lead as we're continuing to chase him down from 4th place. You see the rest of the field coming through right now, and you see, look at that, 33 up there, Austin Hill in his Cup Series debut having a solid top 20 run as we're coming to the final lap. I clipped the outside wall, but unfortunately, I had pushed, just too hard at this point, and the car was done, and I couldn't get any closer to Ty Dillon. So P4 is, well, quite simply what I just had to accept at this point, and Chris Buescher is cruising to victory as he exits turn 2 down this back straightaway for the final time. Nobody has anything for him in these closing moments, and for the first time since, what, Pocono and 2016, I think it was, or 2015 from the fog, he's going to actually win. He won a rain or fog shortened race back in Pocono many years ago, and here he is exiting turn 4, and for the first time under RFK ownership, he is going to win in the Cup Series in the Fastenal number 17 and lock himself into the playoffs as everybody else comes through to cross the line. P4 for us here today. Cannot complain about that result, but we of course have a playoff grid to take a look at, and that's the interesting thing to see what kind of effect Buescher's win has. It's not a big one because he was already in the bubble area. Let's take a look at that playoff grid. You see Larson, of course, still obviously at the top of the board, but Truex 103 to the good. I myself am 96 to the good. Suarez 10 to the good. Buescher is P15. He's locked in, and look at the below this. Wow, it gets close. Cindric, Harvick, both 10 out. Gilliland 29, McDowell 31, Dillon 35, Haley 37, Briscoe 40 after a rough day, Keselowski 61. That's going to wrap it up for me. We go to Richmond in the next episode. Anything can happen in Richmond. That was a bit of a rough one earlier in the season, if I remember correctly, so I'm a little bit concerned about it, but hey, we'll wait and see what happens. I will see you guys in the next one. Few races remain in the regular season. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day, everybody.